everyone, I'm Ashley Martinez, Culinary Dietitian for the Kroger Company, and today I'm bringing you a better for you holiday quiche. This quiche is packed with root vegetables, and we're gonna top it with some shaved Brussels sprouts and pomegranate seeds. So let's dive into this. First things first, let's talk about sweet potatoes. Of course, we're gonna add a sweet potato to this quiche. Sweet potatoes are heavily packed in holiday recipes, and they are in season. So one great thing about sweet potatoes is the fact that they have a ton of vitamin C. Vitamin C is very important for immunity, and they're also packed with fiber too, which is beneficial for our gut health. So when you're picking a sweet potato, you want to be sure it's heavy for its size, and also you want to be sure that there's no bruises along the sweet potato. How do you cut it? Well, you're going to first cut off the root end, and then you're also going to cut off, you're going to turn that, once you cut the top off, you're going to turn it to its side and just cut just a little hair off of that. That way the sweet potato can stand up. Now what you're going to do is cut it pretty thin. It's really going to depend on the size that you want specifically for your recipe, but with this one we want a small dice, so that's what we're going for here. Make sure that you have a sharp knife, or this is going to be very difficult for you to chop. So we've got that there. On the edge here, when you get a little bit close, just be careful, but instead what you could do is turn it on its side and then cut it that way. But I was able to get that in. Now we've got these beautiful slices here. We're just gonna lay this flat and chop it into little sticks. All right, and then turn it again. And then now you got a small dice. Super easy, right? It does take some time. You know, I really enjoy chopping vegetables as a chef. But if you're someone that wants something that has a little bit more convenience to it, we absolutely have these already prepared for you and chopped in our produce department at Kroger. We also have some frozen options. So if you're not sure when you're gonna make this recipe and you don't want the fresh produce to go bad, go ahead and grab some sweet potatoes, frozen sweet potatoes, and then you can just roast them the same way that we're gonna do them now. So always some options for all types of customers, no matter what way you're cooking. So, okay, so finishing up here, also sweet potatoes have a ton of potassium in them, and potassium is super beneficial for managing your blood pressure. So it's always good to make sure that you have adequate amounts of potassium in your diet. All right, so see, that didn't take too long, did it? All right, so once that is done, you're going to put this on a sheet tray. I've got some canola oil. I like to use canola oil with most of my cooking, or I'll do olive oil. It's heart healthy, and it's one of the healthiest oils to cook with. So I'm just gonna throw that on there. You could also scoop it just like this. You could also get a bench scraper. Those are super helpful. And then we will add some oil and salt and pepper, but we're not done with our root vegetables yet. So let's talk about turnips. Turnips are typically, you know, one of those root vegetables that we just don't really cook a whole bunch with. And I want you to think of this as a potato. So I just showed you how to cut a sweet potato. Pretty much the same thing here. You're going to top and tail this turnip, all right? You can peel this if you would like. What I did beforehand was I rinsed all of my produce, and when you do rinse this, you wanna be sure to kind of scrub the outside of this, because these do grow in the ground, so you wanna be sure to get all of that dirt off. You could take it from here and then kind of peel off the edges. That's up to you if you want to do that. I'm gonna keep it on because more nutrients, right? Next thing, let's cut this in half. So we topped and tailed it. Now we're gonna cut it in half, and then we're just gonna lay it flat. So now what you're going to do is just slice it into like half moon slices, just like so. Get this other side here, right? It's so easy. And it's like, you know, if you know how to chop certain produce items, you're most likely gonna eat more of them, right? I think so. That's the whole point here. So then go ahead and stack your turnips, and then let's chop them into sticks. And then just like we did with those sweet potatoes, we're gonna turn them once again, and then small dices is really what we want so that we can cook this evenly. And I've set my oven to 400 degrees. That is the temperature that I like to use for roasting vegetables. And you know, you could just throw these into your quiche without roasting them, but I, you know, kind of will take the extra time to add even more flavor to it, and just roasting them on their own, adding some salt and pepper. You should probably do it, right? You know, just make it taste extra good. And if it's for family, you know, if you're cooking this for a brunch, you know, definitely take the extra time to do that. All right, great. So another great thing about turnips, they also have a good amount of fiber in them. They also have 20% of your daily intake of vitamin C per 1 cup. So definitely something to incorporate into your diet. All right, just about done here. We're gonna finish these last two. Again, cutting them into slices, turning it, and adding a small dice. Boom, we are done. See, didn't take too long, you know, just listen to some music, do your own thing, and boom, you've got some nice chopped vegetables. So I'm going to grab a little bit of olive oil, and then we're also gonna pull the salt and pepper right here. First and foremost, you want to oil your vegetables. So again, I've got some canola oil here. I'm just going to, almost lost them. I'm just gonna drizzle that on top. Boom. Add some salt. Anytime you're salting vegetables, you wanna go from higher up so you can cover more surface area. And then I like to use some cracked black pepper. I think it just provides more flavor overall. So, but you know, anything can work. And then just mix them together. And like I said, 400 degrees, you're gonna roast them in the oven about 20 minutes. Be sure to check on them throughout so that they're not burning too much, but you wanna get like a nice, like good roast on them. So you want them to start caramelizing because that's gonna add some nice flavor to your quiche. So let's go ahead and pop this in, and we'll be back in about 20 minutes. All right, so the root vegetables are still in the oven roasting, but we're gonna go ahead and move on to the Brussels sprouts. Typically, this could be one of the last things that you do when you have maybe about 20 minutes left when you're baking the quiche, but we're gonna go ahead and make this and just keep them warm. So what you'll need about 6 to 8 Brussels sprouts, and make sure that you rinse them off. So I've already done that. Here's how you cut them to get them perfect for topping your quiche. You're gonna lay it on its side and just cut that root end off. And then you're gonna take your knife, and your knife is essentially biting the Brussels sprouts. So you want nice thin slices, as thin as you can go. Once you get to the end, you'll just turn it on its side again, and then finish chopping it very, very thin. And boom, you've got some shaved Brussels sprouts. So super easy. So I'll show you guys one more time with another Brussels sprout. Cut that root end off. Try to keep it intact as much as you can, and then slice as thin as you can get it. Cut as far as you can that feels safe for you. Then turn it on its side and easily just thinly chop the rest of the Brussels sprout. Now you will heat your pan to about medium to high heat. You want them to be pretty hot, and as you can see, you might be able to see the steam coming off of this one. You want to be sure to add some cooking spray or add about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of some canola oil. I like to do both. I like to, put a nice coat of cooking spray just so I know it's non-stick. And then you can add your Brussels sprouts. So I've cut quite a few Brussels sprouts here. The pan is hot, the oil is in. We're just gonna add it into the skillet. And this is gonna look beautiful. Like it's gonna come together like a beautiful holiday quiche once you see these Brussels sprouts topped with your quiche. It's gonna be amazing. So another thing is you wanna be sure to salt the Brussels sprouts and add some pepper. So just a pinch of salt and then, a few cracks of black pepper. And you're just gonna start sauteing that. See you in a couple minutes. All right, those Brussels sprouts are looking good. We're gonna give them a couple more minutes to add a little bit more crispiness to them. Next thing we're gonna do, we've got about 10 minutes left on the root vegetables. So it's time to pop our pie shell in the oven. So I'm using Wholly Wholesome. This is a wheat pie shell. So just trying to think about incorporating more whole grains instead of refined grains. This is found in the frozen section at Kroger. You want to be sure to thaw this out for about 10 to 12 minutes before you pop it in the oven. So it has been out, it's been thawing. Now we're going to add it in the oven for another 10 minutes just to get it nice and crispy and ready for all of the filling that we're gonna put in for our quiche. All right, so it's time to pull the vegetables out of the oven, woo, as well as the pie shell. Those are looking absolutely gorgeous, nice and toasty. And then let's pull the pie shell out as well. And it has a little golden brown to it. We don't want to cook it too long because it is going to be in the oven for another hour. So with that being said, let's start on the quiche filling. So I've got a bowl here, and what you'll need is 3 eggs. So I've got 3 eggs right here. I'm just gonna add them in, and then you're gonna grab a whisk and just make sure that they are whisked all the way before you add your other ingredients. These are gonna act as a binder to the other ingredients that we add in. So very important that you get a good whisk. Next, I'm gonna add in a 1/2 cup of ricotta cheese. I'm using Simple Truth ricotta cheese. I like to use this in quiche because it is lower in sodium than other cheeses, and it also has 7 grams of protein. So like I said, we're trying to make this a better for you quiche. So we're gonna add that in. It's gonna add some mouthfeel, some flavor. Next, I'm gonna add in some Romano shredded cheese. So typically with a quiche, you use Swiss, but this is another great option just to jazz it up for the holiday. So you're gonna add about 1/2 of this, which is 2.5 ounces of cheese. The rest you're gonna use for the topping. All right, and then I'm gonna add a cup of milk. I'm using Carb Master milk. This is ultra filtered, meaning that it is lower in sugar and higher in protein. And for 1 cup, you're gonna get 11 grams of protein, and there's only 3 grams of sugar. So regular milk has about 11 grams of sugar and 8 grams of protein. So that's a little differentiating factor there. So we're gonna add about 1 cup of it in, as well as some black pepper. I've got a 1/2 teaspoon here. Always good to spice it up with that. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. And then last but not least, I'm gonna add some nutmeg. So nutmeg is the secret ingredient to a really good quiche. It really just adds like a lot of like earthiness and good flavor to your quiche. So don't go super heavy with it. Just a light sprinkle is totally fine. If you overdo it, then it can kind of go sideways. So just a nice pinch. Smells like Christmas. All right, so now we're going to mix everything together. So grab a spatula, mix it good. You wanna make sure that your filling is a little bit liquidy. That is what you're looking for with a traditional quiche. We've got some thickening agents in there, but mix it all together pretty good. And now we're going to add the filling to our wonderful quiche. So we've got the pie shell here. Now it's time to add in those root vegetables. So be sure to check the temperature on your pan if you just pulled them out of the oven. So get your mitts on, get your mittens on. And also maybe a bench scraper might be good for you. But as you can see, it's really important to have a small dice to this. So we're just gonna add that in to the center. And we're just gonna kind of spread it around, a nice even distribution of these delicious looking vegetables. Get one last scoop, and you can also pick this up and add it in there just like that. We'll set this aside. Right, so we're just going to make sure that that is evenly distributed, and now we're ready for our filling. So go ahead and just add that in. You're gonna fill it all the way to the top. Perfect. Awesome, getting every last bit, especially that delicious looking cheese. You're gonna pop this in the oven 350 degrees for about 45 to 55 minutes. Depending on your oven, you may need to go a little bit longer, so just keep an eye on it. But 350 for 45 to 55 minutes. So I'll see you in a bit. Our quiche is done. So I put mine in the oven for about 55 minutes. I like a little more caramelization on the top of my quiche. If you want it a little bit lighter, you can do 45 minutes, but this looks awesome. And to ensure that it is completely cooked throughout, you wanna kind of give your quiche a little shake. If you can see that the center is still moving, then you wanna continue to cook it. So this looks perfect. We've got the shaved Brussels sprouts here on the side. I've got some tongs here. I'm just gonna mix this around. We're going to top this beautiful quiche with it right in the center there. And then to my left, I've got some pomegranate areoles. So this is going to really bring out the true holiday in this entire recipe. So I'm gonna sprinkle just a bit of these pomegranate areoles. These are Kroger brand. You can find them in our produce department. They are packed with antioxidants, and they look absolutely perfect on top of this holiday quiche. So just a few scoops here. Kind of sprinkle it around like some garnish, and boom, this is ready to serve. This looks absolutely delicious. Let's see if we can get a little close-up view there. Hopefully I don't drop it. I hope you all enjoyed this holiday quiche video. As you can see, you can use better for you ingredients to recreate a traditional recipe that still adds a ton of flavor as well as a ton of nutrients. So we will see you next time. Happy holidays, stay safe, and we'll see you next year. Bye.